Hello, hello, hello. This is Tom from Tom and Ruth Philippine Adventures. This video goes out to Mr. Steve Carl, Mr. Harry, Mr. Steve Pell, Deb, Dave in Davao, and Dave in Las Vegas, and there's quite a few more. I decided not to list. Uh, they're asking about how can you live on a budget, and how do you survive on a budget where you're at, and how are other people surviving on $600, $700, $800 a month in the Philippines. So today we're going to talk about that in a little while. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. I can't help it. I can't help it. I can't help it. I love that song. I can't help it. Actually, there's about 5 songs on that demo that I have there. Really good. So, but today I want to talk about, can you live and can you survive on $600 a month, $700 a month in the Philippines? You can live on any amount of money you want to in the Philippines. That's the most important thing. Can you live on it? Yes. How much money can you live on here in the Philippines? Listen. The average salary here, in other words, I went back and I went into 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2015, and on up. The average salary stayed about the same, including up to, they don't have 2019 statistics up, 2020 statistics up yet. It's about an average of 19,000 pesos a month, and that's on the high side. They have upper rich families living on 100 to 200,000 pesos a month, which is 3 to 4,000 a month. But the average Filipino salary is 19K a month, and that's average. Now that is through their statistics. As you know, not everybody here files any kind of paperwork or documentation on what they pay. A lot of them just pay cash only. So, but the average salary, I'm going about the average salary where I live, the average salary in CDO, the average salary in Balay in Valencia, and all surround me with 100 kilometers, 150 kilometers. It will not vary too much, no more than anywhere from 3 to 5,000, 6,000 peso a month. Now, if you're living in Cebu and you're working a job, we have family that works jobs, they make an average of 15, 20,000 peso a month. That's understandable. That is $400 a month, $100 a week. But the average you'll find makes anywhere from 50 on maybe 50 a week to 80 a week on the high side, and up it can here and there. And that's the ones that are working, have been working, like the banks and things like that. And I'm talking, white collar workers, shirt and tie kind of guys. Now, if you're out in the farm and field like that, you make an average of $3 to $5 a day if you're lucky. Some only pay $2 a day to $3 a day. So this is what my platform is going to be. So most don't have air conditioner or refrigerator. Most do not have water. They have to pitch your own water. But here's the reason that most live comfortably here. But can a foreigner, can a person come from another country and live here reasonably on this amount of money? And yes, they can, because you. I'm not saying live like Filipino. I'm not saying I don't live like Filipino. I have an air-conditioned house. I have all the comforts at home. I have power. I have solar power. By the way, electricity's out right now, but I still have power. I have lights. I have fan. My TV and satellite's on. I have everything that I need. My fridge is on solar right now. So that's what you have to plan for. But see, that's the thing that's different that a lot of people have to realize, that when you're coming to a country that the poles are not all concrete yet, but they are increasingly changing those out. It is amazing how the Philippines has grown since I've been here, and almost 6 years in May I've been in here. 6 years. So it has increased in from 1 lane to 2 lane to 4 lane to 5 lane on each side. Now I'm talking if you want to count 10 lane, you can in some areas. But in some areas, it's 2 lane to 3 lane, all the way up. Like where I live, go to Valencia, for example, and parts of Malay, it's 2 and 3 lane one way, and then 2 to 3 lane back. So, so if you want to count it, 6 lanes. The road is 6 lanes. But sometimes you want to really took a lot of people, a lot of Americans say, yeah, there's no way in the world. Like Harry says to me, Harry says, there's no way in the world you can live on $600 a month. And I said, yes, I can. And some of the reasons why, and I have another friend in Davao, Dave in Davao, says, Tom, there's no way. So I explained it to him, and he lives on this. What he does is this. Mr. Dave lives in Davao, and what he does, he has he spends out, he ends up spending 100, 150 a week in food on eating out. His rent is $400 a month. Say $400 a month in food, and that's light. He spends $800 a month, so he figures it's about costing a minimum of $1,600 a month. Now, can you live on $1,600 a month here in the Philippines? Of course you can. You can live on $1,000 a month. You can live on $500 a month. Now, there are many of my American friends living on $400, and they add money into it. Now, the reasoning is they may not have an air conditioner that's on 24/7. They may have a fan that's on. So to live all the comforts, to have a comfortable lifestyle, yes, you can. Now, I'll go and explain in detail. Friends living in different parts of the Philippines. As you know, I have 23 ex-workers that we worked together from a company together, and we all ended up here in the last 20 years, okay? And they were all here. Some come behind me and has been here, but some have been here 18 years before. Now, when I've been working for that company, when I started working there, I mean, some were just leaving, going to the Philippines, and I got to know them only 6 months, but stayed in touch with them only because we're friends. But long story short, there was 23 of us that had boots on the ground here. So this information is coming from actually 23 people throughout the Philippines, scattered from all the way down to Dumaguete, to Palawan, Port Princesa, all over the islands, all the way up to Baguio and on up past Baguio. We have people that live in areas that live in the jungle. I have friends, American friends, shirt and tie. They're living in the jungle and loving every day of their life. One contacts me about once a month and says, hey, we're still doing good. I came in town to get flour and sugar. I came in town to get some gasoline. He made himself a water wheel. So when the water is flowing down the mountain, he has power. He's figured out how to do it to where it's constant power all the time. He uses a creek because it constantly runs. So there are Americans out there that live in the dream. Has all the food he needs, has chickens, has pigs. He has raised a couple of cows. He's got a new calf now. So there are ways that you can actually do this. Now, the thing that a lot of Americans want to live an American lifestyle in the Philippines, sometimes there's no water, no electric, and no special restaurants available in the area. And so what happens is you're not going to be able to have that here. You're not going to be able to have your special restaurants, but you can actually live on it. Many of my friends that were saying, like I said, 23 of us actually live all pretty basic from the low end, living in the jungle of $200, $300, $400 on the high side. He said you don't even spend $200 a month. He said, what am I spending it on? He's not spending any money because he has everything. He said, I need sugar, I need my coffee, and a few other items, personal care like shaving cream and things like that he will get. But go back to my friend Dave that lives in Davao. He's paying $400 a month rent, and he complains about that. And he complains living in Davao. I told him go back to the States. He's from Arkansas or Tennessee or somewhere like that. I said, well, just go back to the States. If you're complaining so much about living here, just go back to the States. Take your family. So when the honey badge is over, he's just one of those guys. He just likes to complain on everything. So as I was talking to my buddy Dave that lives in Las Vegas now, a shout out to him. Well, him and I were talking about, like my friend Paul. He lives in Manila. He pays about $1,200 a month, but he lives like a king on $1,200 a month. He's got 2 maids. He's got a housekeeper and a maid. He lives on $1,200 a month in Manila, and he's living like the life of Raleigh. Now he has a farm. he goes out to the farm and stays 2 to 3 months a year when their season comes in for their sugar cane and their corn. He doesn't worry about the rice as much because rice doesn't bring as much as the corn and sugar cane does. He says he spends about 400 a month on the high side at the farm. It has fans and no. I don't think he has an air conditioner out there. I know he has a fridge out there because he's a beer drinker. He loves his cold beer. He's got to have his beer, and if he doesn't have beer, he will go to the moon to buy his beer if he needs to. But he said he loves it. He loves it at the farm better than he does Manila. Eventually, they're just going to move out to province. He said Manila is just getting too hectic for him, and he can't even drive and use his car. He's got a brand new car. I bet he don't have 5,000 miles on it. He's had it for 2 years, and he said he don't even drive it. He don't even drive it. He's got a driver too. It helps him. But anyway, then I go from extreme to this other guy. He's living at about $3,500 a month in Manila, and his name is Dave also. And I've known Dave now probably 9 years. And he has a driver, he has a maid, he has a cook, he has a cleaner. Now, I don't know what a maid, a cook, and a cleaner, what the difference is, but he also has a yard man. And he has the driver is on call 24/7. They all live on the premises. They all live there 24/7. That's the only requirement he has. I don't care if you have family or not. Either you stay or you don't have a job. But he pays them on the average. He said I paid them. The maid and the cook make about 3 to 4 thousand a month each. The cleaner makes a little bit more because she does more of the extra cleaning and things like that, like clothes and things like that. Yard man makes about 3,000 a month. So you can see you start adding those up, and then he has a 3-story house, 5 bedroom, 3 bath, on 1 hectare of land, and it's a good part of the city. Her family, his wife's family, goes back 3 generations, and they've had that property ever since. So they live in like the heart of Manila on about 1 hectare of land on a beautiful piece of property. He says beautiful fence, fenced off. So, like I said, he goes out and he spends now. He also goes out to eat every day. He says, I don't eat at home because he doesn't like his wife's cooking. So it gives you an idea that he needs to go out. So in his mind, he says, and wife's cooking, the cook's cooking. So the cook says, well, if you don't like my cooking, go out to eat. But the problem is it's her family, and he can't fire her. He said something about that. So, but you got to think about what's perspective. If you have a cleaner, you have a cook, you have a maid, all the above. But also, they have a business also, a small business. It's an online okay type stuff. They sell clothes and things online. They have a couple businesses where they're street vendors. They have that online. They do that. So there's other family coming out of this house at that time. So what is important in life? Rent or no rent? Now, the key in life here in the Philippines that I want to say is a lot of people think that what is the key? How can you live on that amount of money? Well, I have all the food. I spent $300-400 on food, okay? And I have no rent. My electric is $300-400. No, my electric is $100. Actually, 84. Let's just say $100 and $300-400 there. There you go. But my internet is $20. I spent what did I spend last month? I think it was $700-800 last month. It went up because we had to pay insurance, our health insurance. So Ruth and I stayed in Manila for about a month. I have to tell you, well, we stayed in Manila about a month when we first came here, and I wanted to go to the mall all the time. And that month that we spent on average about $600, and that included the rent. We rented a condotel there, and it was $200 for the month. It's just a deal that I happened to pick up. I was just lucky, and I found it. It was a condo. I call it condotels. It's a hotel room, basically. You're living in a condo. And it had all the comforts of home. It's only probably about 200 square feet. But we had all the comforts. We had everything in there. And it's about a month, something like that. So, the things that people don't really realize too, each person's going to be different on where they're going to live and what their lifestyle is. A lot of people want to go and they want to have their coffee every morning. That was me. I wanted to walk the mall every morning. That was me. I wanted to spend time with my family and always do that where I have my family with me, and that's me. Now, even here where we're at, I'm the spender of the family. I will spend more money uh, than I should. But Ruth is not really a spender because she's not really been accustomed to have any money to even spend any money with. She will ask me if she'll ask me, say, hey, what about we go on a trip, do this, that? And I say, hey, it's a great idea. So we've got one planned later in the year when it opens up a little bit, and we'll go up. There's a place up in the Malibali. Now we have a couple of vloggers that's coming in the area, and we'll do videos on that. But I got a friend of mine coming from Cebu. He's going to be living in Malibali. And so we'll do a video about that also. But I do want to say you can live on $600 a month. And you can live very comfortably on $600 a month. The key is your water. The key is your electric. Key is your rent and things like that. Now, electric's going to be a bit more expensive in some areas than others. Now, the electric that we have here is owned by the Philippine government. Our electricity is a little bit higher than we're going to have from a private sector. And this particular area is only two companies in the Philippines that's owned by the Philippine government. We happen to have one of my electric companies owned by the Philippine government, and so it's controlled. And I have to say they do a pretty good job. It's just we do have a lot of brownouts. But you got to realize we're so mountainous here, and there's a lot of terrain that you go up and down. It's easy to knock out a telephone pole sometimes, and we're down on electric. We have an average more so than I ever had in my life when I first moved here. We didn't have no outages very rarely. But since I've been out here up in the mountain, we have an average about 5 or 6 a week. And some can get really bad as far as time frame, as far as being out 1 hour, 2 hours, and things like that. So yes, you can live on 600. Yes, you can live on 700. Yes, you can live on 800. Some people, my plan was I wanted to come and live here on $1,000 a month initially. And it ended up some months I lived on 400. Some months I lived on 600. Some months, ever since I've been here, I lived on 550. In fact, I found a video that I did almost 4.5 years ago, and my monthly budget. What made me realize this is I've had these guys asking me and just pinning me down. How can you live? Where can you live? What part of the Philippines can you live on that amount of money? I got a friend of mine lives down in Palawan in a hut. I say a hut, a bamboo house. It's just a one-room bamboo house with a small kitchen and a CR off to the side. He has to walk down this little stair to go CR. It's covered and everything. It's nice. And he said that he lives on that's nothing. He lives on like $100 to $200 a month because he doesn't really have any power. And the ocean air breeze, he has all the cool air he needs. And if it's hot, he just goes jump in the ocean. So he has no really expenses other than his food. And him and his girlfriend, he has a girlfriend, they live inexpensively because there's what they're going to have. He doesn't really have the internet. Now, what he will do is, he said he'll buy load on his phone and to get the data. If he can have, then they try to do data, and he'll send me some messages and things like that when the internet is good. But because of what's happening with the schools and things like that now, our services have declined considerably on the internet and things, and it's just because everybody's on them all the time. And there's just everybody uses the internet here because a lot of them, like I said, don't have TV. We have family members. I can name 5 family members don't have a TV. I can name all of them don't have a refrigerator. They don't have TV. In fact, 3 of them or 4 of them do not have fans in their house. So they live very Filipino way, and there's nothing wrong with that. They cook their food outside. They cook it even if it's raining. They got it covered. If they need to make rice, they make it in a big pot. They make a pot because it's a big family. I think there's 8 or 9 of them, family members. And it's one family, and they live comfortably, and they live fine, and they're happy, and they're contented. That's the most important thing, is being contented and happy whenever you're have a thing like this. I mean, I've noticed for me that living here in the Philippines, I've actually gotten a better, my attitude's changed for the better because I'm not as stressed out because of driving down the road, driving down the interstate, worrying about this and worrying about that. And my attitude has actually become better because of there's nothing to make me angry or mad all the time like I was there. So that's another big factor. But really, yes, you can live on 600. You can live on 500. You can live on 400. It depends what you want to do. You can go to the extreme of living in the jungle like my buddy. Now, I would have never thought he'd live in a jungle. This guy had a house. You would not believe his house. He has a swimming pool that was like the most biggest pool I ever seen, multi-level, layers. You know, you go down, 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 and he had a liquor bar the size of a bar going into Mickey Finn's, you know. But and he's living up there. And I said, well, how you doing on? I said, yeah, I know you like your cold beer. He said, Tom, I take the beer. I buy me some. He buys San Miguel in a bottle, and he said, I buy me like 5 cases a week on the average. Now the 5 cases, he just says, not for me to drink a case a day. He says, I bring about 20 cases up there. He said, I have all those guys haul them up there for me. He says, for them and the family. But he has it in a locked cabinet, locked building that they cannot break the lock, he says, because we have a party, I want them to have a cold beer. And he says, we do it with the water off the mountain. So he actually has the beer and he puts it in a bucket with holes in the bottom of it, he said. And as the water's coming down, it helps trap some of the water, and he has that as his trap to turn the wheel or something. I don't know. Some kind of rig he's got going on. And this is a guy that you couldn't get him to mow his own yard, but he went from one extreme to the other. But he loves his new wife now, and he's very excited and happy. He said, I'll never go back to the United States. There's no reason for me to go back. So congratulations to him for that. But then I have another friend that's living on, $3,000 to $3,500, $3,000, $4,000 a month. I mean, he says that he has noticed here this last year that he's getting tired of living there, and he'll probably be moving to the farm, because he says nothing better than waking up at the farm, even though you hear roosters and karaoke and everything else. But he says, I have a farm that I could put my house out in the middle of it, and I won't hear any roosters, and I won't hear anything because I'm not going to have any. He said, I don't care. So, but I want to talk about that. I want to thank everybody for always watching our videos, and I want to thank you for always coming on our channel. I got to play this song. I got to. I love this music here. And which one was this? I think it was this one. Nope, this one. Yeah. Yes, that's it. Sorry. A couple of people have asked me if they could actually take that music and run with that music. And I said, yeah, you can take it. Use it if you want. So I sent them the link. Get it. God bless everybody. Thank you so much for always coming on our channel. We really appreciate it. I think I'll start doing videos again. But this is a tape one, and I'll try to install this on YouTube if I can. A pre-taped video. Look how they dressed back then. Isn't that something? That's Filipino here. And the Spanish, you can see the Spanish influence and how they dressed back then. And that's the thing I want to talk about. It was heavily, if you look back in the 1940s and 50s here in the Philippines, and look at that. How they got around was like that right there. And that amazed me. And see that? Now it's so packed up and down the streets. Is it because they're overpopulation? I guess that's what it is. See, you can see the provincial life there and how it was, the bamboo fences and things. But when Ruth and I was putting this program together, it was amazing. We did not realize how. And I think that's the Senate there. Isn't that amazing? Or the House of Representatives. I think I've been there. It's like the embassy. But but look at the lifestyle. Look at the thing. Okay, I'm rambling on. Been on 25 minutes. But I like this. Ruth does too. I don't want to turn it off. God bless everybody. Thank you so much.